Even thank you, Mary. I can see your reaction. Karibu, Derrick.
Asante sana. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
my name is Derrick Gathirimu. I'm digital marketer for 20X Entrepreneurs. And today I'm going to take you through the power of storytelling in sales. In the message I sent to market the webinar, I told a story about a man, a journalist. His name was Rob Walker. In 2009, he did an experiment and he bought a few things online on eBay. One of them, which was this useless item, it was a horse's head for less than $1. And then he bought 200 of these useless things. And then he got 200 storytellers to join him on this experiment, each to write a story on each item, each storyteller per item. And the same items, he reposted them on eBay, and each item he sold at $62.95. The same useless item, it is a horse's head. Minus the story, it's worth less than $1. With the story, it's worth almost $63. So with 200 items, he spent almost $129 buying the whole thing the first time. Using the stories, he made $8,000 in revenue. You can look at the difference in profit. More than 6,000% profit. Now, there are three possibilities. Either A, the stories they told tricked the people who are reading the post into buying a useless item, or B, the story added value to the item. So on the chart, A or B, were people cheated into buying a useless item for 6,000% profit, or B, was the story itself adding value to the item? Put it on the chart. Put it on the chat. What do you think? Who is this? Mary Gadara. Oh, it's Winnie who says it's B. So why do you think, Winnie, why do you think the story itself added value to the story, to the item, and not that people are cheated?
I think it added value, probably because of the way he talked about this item, making people feel and believe that this item will add value, because people spend money on what they feel will add value to them or bring some happiness to them, or people just don't buy for the sake of it. So I believe the way he presented the item did not trick, but made people feel like this will add value to me, so I'll exchange money for it.
Yes, Winnie is correct. The story itself added value to the item. But then here is the thing. Here is where we get caught as business people, as salespeople. We all think we are not storytellers. We think you have to have a certain gift to write stories. And today I want to tell you that you are wrong. Storytelling is a science, and it's about triggering people. It's actually a formula that you can use in whatever language, with your broken English, with your Swahili or Sheng. It's a science that can be used to sell anything. And if done right, it adds value to a product. So first of all, before we go too far, who are 20x Entrepreneur? We are a sales consultancy. We do sales training. We do sales coaching. We recruit sales teams for you. And also we do networking events. One event, which is Sales Fest Africa, which is in Dubai in October 29th. The price is $1,795. Our aim is to help entrepreneurs and salespeople grow 20 times in 3 to 5 years. So now, what formula, as I was saying, you don't have, storytelling is not so much an art as it is a science. At 20x, we believe selling is a science. And if something is a science, it means it can be taught to anyone. If something is an art, it brings in things of something being inborn in you, something perhaps being a natural born talent. But when something is a science, it means anyone can do it. So it is not what those writers wrote. It's not what they said. It is how they made those buyers feel. Now, when you're talking about feelings, now that's where the science comes in. You might think that's where the art is, but that's where the science comes in. Because what you're doing, you're triggering chemicals in people. Now, before we go into those chemicals, let me tell you my background. I know chemicals because I am a former drug addict. I know what makes people tick. I know in my struggle to get rid of the whole habit, I went deep into knowing. I wanted to know what is it that makes me who I am, and how can I contain it, and how can I be a better version of myself. So that's who I am. So when I talk about chemicals, I really went into it. So one, the first chemical that storytelling triggers in people. So when you're talking about chemicals, the thing with these chemicals, or you can call them hormones, is that they lower the inhibitions of people. They lower people's inhibitions. They make people do things they would not otherwise do. And it's very important to know the difference between triggering people to do something through sales, to do something they will not otherwise do. It's not necessarily meaning that you are cheating them. It's that it's a recognition that products, as she said, as Winnie said, products do not just get bought. People do not just go somewhere and buy something just like that. They need a little help. There's a reason why you see advertisements on television, and it's not just a product and a price. It's always a story. So by triggering these chemicals, anyone can become a good storyteller. So I'm going to share with you. I won't go very deep, but the best way I'm going to do it is to use examples using stories. I think that's the best way to do it. So the first chemical is dopamine. Dopamine is triggered when you leave people in suspense. When you're writing a story, if you go right now, okay, the best way to do it is using a personal story of mine. So one day I had a job. It was the same thing, digital marketing. But at the time I was struggling with a lot of things. And one day my boss calls me and he tells me, we need to talk. There are things that have been happening, and something needs to be done. We cannot continue like this. So he bought me lunch. At the time, I was not a big eater. Anyone who knows people on drugs, they don't eat. So I was not a big eater. So he took me to a restaurant, and it was a test. I did not know it was a test. So akanikalisha chini, gave me some food, and I refused to eat. Kitu nilikunywa ni soda. It had sugar. Then as I was finishing the soda, I just saw two people come into our table and they took me into a vehicle and we left. I'm not going to finish that story. I'm not going to finish that story. It's an example of dopamine. There is an expectation. Already you're forming scenarios in your head, what could have happened. First, this character, something is not right with him. He's being tested. People have shown up to a table and they have left with him in a vehicle. So dopamine, here's what dopamine does. Let me share. Here's what dopamine does. It increases focus. It increases motivation. It increases memory. By telling a story and leaving it at a cliffhanger, you can use it on social media. You can use it on your posters, wherever you use it. And I will come to it later in the webinar. You can use them to increase focus, motivation, and more memory. Now that's dopamine. The second chemical, oxytocin. And the best way to tell it also is using a story. A few years ago, I was in a very bad place and I found myself hanging out with people I shouldn't have been hanging out with. And one day I came home at around 2 p.m. 2 a.m. And at the time, I had a girlfriend and she had a small kid. And I didn't want to bother them in the bedroom. So I decided to sleep on the couch. I was woken up by a sharp pain in my chest. And long story short, I found myself in hospital. I had been stabbed in the chest and in the neck. And that day, I almost died twice. One, I almost bled to death that day. And two, when they took me to theater, the medicines weren't working. They couldn't take me out. I had such a high tolerance for certain drugs that they weren't working on me. So they had to put a large dosage in me so that it can take me out for surgery. And for a while, they couldn't wake me up. And when I was in that hospital, it was only the beginning, because in the hospital, the drugs were wearing off. The painkillers they were giving me, they kept going lower and lower as I healed. So now I started getting withdrawals in the hospital. And no matter how hard they tried to put in blankets on me, the nurses tried, I was just shivering all the time. And I remember people used to come and see me, even my family, and they would look at me with pity. So much, I would rather be insulted. Any human being would rather be insulted, would rather be hated. But the last thing you want to see in people's eye is pity. And one night, as I was shivering, there is a certain patient, she was suffering, and she looked at me with pity as if she was not suffering herself. And that's the day I decided to change my life. And I have never looked back. I have never looked back. That's me on that day. You can see how skinny I was. So, what have I just done? Right now, what you're feeling is oxytocin. It increases, it helps you identify with someone else. In your storytelling, whether it's on social media, as we will cover later, how you can use these things to sell your product, whether it's on social media, whether it's, and that's not to say you use personal stories to sell. I was just giving examples. By those chemicals that are in you right now, that humanity you feel, it's a very powerful chemical that can be used to create characters that can sell your product. So what does oxycontin do? It increases generosity, trust, and bonding and empathy. It's a very powerful chemical. So the third, endorphins. And the best way is to show you this video. Someone who has overdosed.
Receive.
To speak and to listen.
To speak and to listen.
To inspire and to respond. Are you speaking or listening?
To speak and to listen.
So what you just saw there, what you're seeing there is someone who has overdosed on endorphins. They cannot control themselves. They are feeling happy. They're laughing. This is the extreme case. But in your marketing, you can use humor to lower the inhibition of your buyer and to create, I don't want to say dependency, but it really is that dependency, to create an expectation that you will make them happy with whatever it is that you're marketing or whatever it is that you're doing. So what endorphins do, they increase focus, creative, people become more focused, they feel more creative, and they become more relaxed. So why do we tell stories? You see, it sounds well and good to know all that about chemicals. So why are we doing it? It's because of people, because of the way the market is. At the top, there is a 10% who will buy your product no matter what. No matter what you do. In fact, you might find that you are the hindrance to them buying your product, the product. Because the moment you open your mouth, you are ruining it. These are the people who will buy your product no matter what. And then there is an 80% who need help buying your product. And then there's another 10% who won't buy your product no matter what. So the people who will buy your product or your service no matter what are not really the target of your marketing. When you're doing marketing, you don't preach to the choir, right? It is kind of like the way Jesus used to do it. He used to hang out with tax collectors, ladies of the night. He was not hanging out with the people who didn't need his product. He did not hang out with the converted. So it's the sole reason why you need stories, so that that 90% can become more convinced, not even convinced, more persuaded of buying your product, so that you can attract that 90% into buying your product. So that's why we need to tell stories. And now here is the formula of creating your content in such a way that it motivates people, so that you can target that 90%. And to do that, you have to have what I like calling the money cocktail. So it is knowing what motivates different kinds of people. These are not definite things that happen. It's not like there's a certain person who is only motivated by feelings. People are a cocktail. But if you want to write a good story, there are certain things it must have, because people are motivated by different things. 30% of people are motivated by feelings, 25% by facts and figures, 20% like laughter and fun and excitement, 10% it's all about values and opinion, 5% it's fantasy, another 5% call to action, and nobody quite knows where the other 5% goes. what motivates the other 5%? Maybe chance, maybe other things. So that's the formula. So now, how do you craft a story? You're not a writer, you're a business owner, you're a salesperson. How do you craft a story that triggers certain emotions and that creates a certain dependency on your target dependency on your target market? So, and how and where do you use stories to tell? You use them in your marketing, you can use them in your sales call or sales pitch, and you can use them to your team. Let's say on employee onboarding, it's very useful to sell the business. The number one person you should sell your story to, or the story of your product or company, is your team. So I'll give an example for what I do for Bismart Insurance. When I first started out, I found out that there is a lot of resistance because people like thinking of insurance a certain way. Sisi ni sumbua. The moment you meet an insurance person, you don't want to say hi. For some reason, anataka kukuuzia. So I decided to use pussycats to sell. And it looks stupid, but it is usually very calculated. So what I did was I figured out a way to use the content formula.
Yes, leo nimelaani matumizi ya nguvu kutatua mzozo.
To use a content formula that generates content that triggers all the right emotions. And not only is it about doing it once, you have to do it every day. As I said, it sounds sinister, but it's the way it is. There's a reason why marketing works the way it works. There's a reason why there's a certain advert that comes at a certain time every day when you're eating. It is to trigger certain things in you. So I decided for myself, every morning at 5 a.m., I was going to send out to all our WhatsApp groups my marketing. And since people get bored by insurance, I started using jokes. So this is an example where I used the formula. This is I used the photo itself as the story, because photos too can tell stories, where 30% of which it triggers different people, which touches on different things in different people. And not only is it about the picture, but it's also about the caption. It triggers different things in different people. You can see from the photo and the caption that the people who are triggered by feelings, there is something for them. The people who are triggered by facts, there is something for them. The people who are triggered by action, the call to action, the call to action, which is visitors at bismart.co.ke, are touched by them. So you find that caption and the picture touch different people in different ways. So kwa kila kitu mtu anaona hapo, kuna kitu imembamba. So the formula is at least 75%. You should get to at least 75% in your posters, in your captions, in your stories on Facebook, everything you do. Let us recap. This is the formula. You must always get to 75%. And you must always do it consistently so that it triggers the same feelings over and over. And if it is possible for you to do it at every day at a certain time, so that people start expecting that thing at a certain time, it will yield results. So now I want us to compare. I don't know whether you can see this image. Can you see this image here?
The one of the cat?
No, the next one. Or
no, it's saying or and then it's blank.
Okay. So I wanted to, let me. Anyway, no matter. All I was saying is you have to realize what people are doing on social media, because all this is generated for social media, for emails. People are not doing the same thing on different types of social media. That picture of a cat would never work on some social media platforms, and yet they would work on others. For example, this picture would work, let's say, on WhatsApp groups, because WhatsApp groups, people are always scrolling. You must capture people, you must catch the attention of people, you must make them stop so that they can read the caption. So your regular poster, which is just your product and the price, will not work on social media. And part of the reason why you hear so many people saying that social media, they are trying to sell on social media and it's not working, is because their content is very generic. The picture of your product and the price does not inspire anyone. And the few people who make inquiries are the 10% who are going to buy anyway. And that's not where the game is. The game is at the 90%. So you must think of ways, and it does not necessarily mean it has to be funny. It has to be that Facebook post you're making. You have to trigger, you have to touch on different points. You have to touch the feelings. Okay, to simplify it, it is head and the heart. You must have a good headline. You must capture the hearts of people. You must appeal to the minds of people. So if your social media content does not trigger those things, that's why it's not working. So let me continue. It's not only on post, it's also on posters. The posters which you use to sell your products. It's also the posters you use to sell your products. I'll give an example. Look at the two posters. They're side by side. The design is the same, but look at the language of one versus the language of the other. The simpler your language is, the better. Telling people, sometimes with us in business, we start thinking that people know what we are talking about, while they don't. We are so lost inside our own business. We are so close to our business that we don't understand that people do not know what we are talking about. You must speak to people in a language they can understand. So what story does your business tell your market? And I'm going to give this chance to Larry. I think he's here. Is Larry here? Larry Mosa. To tell us about his experience with us, because he's one of our students. He came to us, he sells real estate. So Larry Mosa.
Hi, Derek.
Yes.
Wow, okay. The floor is mine, eh?
Yes, it is yours.
Wow, okay. Asante, I'm Larry Mosa. I'm already seeing some areas of correction again, but we deal in real estate. We help people earn good rent, and we also help people buy houses and rent houses. So we help people who have invested in real estate earn good rent, both commercial and residential. Now, I joined exactly about 6 weeks ago. The reason I joined was because I wanted to do things differently in our sales, and we needed to increase our sales. So I joined for the 12 weeks course. Now, certain things happened there. First, the 20X, they make you look at yourself. You start introspecting. You know, there's something Eunice talks about, integrity, keeping your word to yourself. I know many of us are Christians here, but I don't know how many times we keep your word to yourself. And then that helps you keep your word to others. And so there's that introspection. And that introspection is what my brother Derrick, I think he was sharing his story. And that story is the one now we are coming to, which I'm going to use. In fact, we just had digital marketing training yesterday. So now that story is the one I'm going to use. And a lot of times there's this story of we are shy to share our stories on social media. And I've come to learn that, you know, Eunice has shared hers, Derrick is sharing hers. You just have to share your story. Now, there's another, that's one thing I've learned. The other thing I've learned is that sales is actually a science. We were doing sales and having our statistics of leads, but we didn't analyze properly. One thing I've learned now is that I need to analyze my data. The course makes you analyze your data on a daily basis because you have a certain target that you're trying to meet. So I'm analyzing my data, and you know, you can't do the same thing and hope for different results. And that was, as I said, that was one of the reasons why I joined 20X. And so now we've started doing things differently based on the data that we have been collecting at 20X. And I can tell you, one of the things we discovered is that we were closing transactions and abandoning our clients. Just like that. Yani, you close and you leave them out in the cold. Like Eunice told me, then you leave your clients to be prey for other people. So that is something we have completely stopped. And it is amazing to see, I think one client told me, hey, you have disappeared for I don't know how long. Another one, it's just the same story. Where have you been? And to my surprise, almost like 80% of the clients had a new inquiry. So here you are, you're spending perhaps on advertising. And all you need to do is keep your clients. Yeah. So that for me has just been a serious game changer. In that, another thing is that, but then, you know, you don't keep your clients happy. Some of them start leaving. So how do you then, you see, it's interesting, you're fishing and some are leaving the net. So it's almost like you're in a vicious circle. So I've learned that you have to keep them happy as you look for others. And for me, it has been very helpful. And so learning to do things differently, doing the river of life, having a story, keeping your clients happy. Yes, and we are looking to grow our sales significantly as we go through this course. And then obviously what Derrick is talking about, the social media, like we're posting a lot on Facebook, but we realized we were selling a lot. Instead of giving, you know, there's you're taught how in the social media, you're taught how to divide your posts into that. Just what he's talking about. There's the story, then there's the direct selling, and then yeah. So that breakdown is what we are coming. And I think I also see my classmate here. But yes, that is the story. So I'm very happy, and I encourage anybody here who has not registered for a course. But then you don't have to start at the top. There's a 5-day, there's a 20-day. You can just start and see whether it's helpful. Derrick, I think that's it for now.
Yes, Larry, thank you very much. But one thing we've not had, you've been a bit modest with your numbers. How are they before? How are they now? You're very Kenyan with your numbers.
In terms of my sales.
Yes.
Okay. We've gotten more. What we were doing is before we were generating a lot of leads, but they were not in the right direction. So now we are generating leads in the right direction. So whereas the numbers have not yet taken off, they are about to start taking off. That's why I didn't give you the numbers immediately.
Yes. I understand. Also, it's I would like to give someone else who's never talked. I've seen Susan Mbai. Susan Mbai, you've been joining, you've been coming in and going out. Tell us, what is the story you tell your business tells? Susan Mbai. Okay. Cricket. Okay. Nancy Dalla, tell us what you sell. Tell us the story of your product. Sell to us for 2 minutes. Nancy. Yes? Your mic is on.
It's on by mistake.
Yes, but that's you I want to hear. It's you I want to hear. Sell to us for 2 minutes. Tell us a story that sells to us for 2 minutes.
Okay, can try. I'm Nancy Dalla. I have a startup called Techlish Enterprises, which is just taking up. We deal with organic fertilizers, and we are still trying to get traction.
Okay. So, okay. You've not sold to us, but it's okay. So now let me share my screen. We will deal with that, Nancy, as we go on, because you're going to join our classes. So we know it's when I sit here and I tell you all these things, oh, there's a formula, oh, there's this done, oh, there's that done. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it. There's a class starting on Monday, the 12-week sales accelerator. So for 12 weeks, we will compress a whole year in those 3 months. And the things we are going to cover is that the idea is to generate as much activity in 3 months as you do in a year. So there'll be weekly accountability sessions. That is, every week we have a sit down. We talk about where you are, what you did right, what you could do better. There is daily training and coaching on our platform. That we have an online e-learning platform where you access classes daily, and there are assignments for you to do every day. And the assignments are not theoretical. It's tomorrow do this in your business. Then you report to us on the group, to your classmates. You report your results to us. And then the idea is that we want to increase your sales between 2 and 4 times. What you sell monthly, we want to do it twice or at least 4 times. So the value is 180,000. Right now, the price is 60,000. The class starts on Monday at 4 p.m. And I would like to see you there, because one, it's not just about the social media thing. There are a lot of things we go deep into. We look at your past performance, what you've been doing right, what you've been doing, what you could do better. Let's say lead generation. For example, Nancy, the first thing we will ask you is how many leads. You are saying you are a startup. The first thing we are going to ask you is how many leads are you generating? Who is your target customer? How many of them are you generating in a week? How many sales are you making? How many people are you reaching out to sell your organic fertilizer? And this is the journey we've been on with Larry. And as he said, he's been losing a lot of money from people he already knows. He's been going out there looking for money while the money is already in his pocket but can't see it. And that's the situation a lot of people are in as salespeople and as business people. So does anybody have a question? That's the end of my presentation. Any questions? Any questions? Nobody wants to say anything. Okay.
Yeah, Derek, hi.
Hi, Eric.
Just a quick one. I think for me, what I've gathered today, first of all, thank you very much for everything. Huh? What I've gathered today for me has come from the screen you had that gave us the breakdown. Two screens, one that talked about 10% that will buy no matter what you tell them. Na ukiongea sana wewe ndio unajimes.
Yes.
8%, 80% need to be pushed. Another 10%, no matter what you say, they'll not buy anything.
Yes.
So there's that coupled with the breakdown again, starting with feelings and facts. With feelings, first of all, at 30%, and facts and figures at 25%.
Yes.
Just as a recap, for me, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, that is a great summary to today's webinar. I was wondering if you would not mind sharing that screen again and just talking us through as a conclusion, 1-2 minutes through that thing again.
Yes. So the reason why your marketing needs to change, and the reason why you hear a lot of business people saying that their marketing is not working, is because they are targeting these people, the people who will buy no matter what. And how do I know that? I look at your posts. Look at right now, go to your business page and look at your posts. And what you will see is a lot of product, a lot of prices. So the person who will buy is someone who already has made the decision to buy. There is nothing to attract these people. There is nothing to attract these people. Now, the trick in marketing, and it's not just on social media, it's everywhere, is that you have to capture the attention of these people, because someday they will need your product, or B, they know someone who needs your product. So if you capture the attention of these people instead of these people, you'll get these people no matter what. But you need to capture the attention of these people even if they are not buying. They need to be coming to your page for some reason, any reason. So now, how do you do that? It's using the content formula, the 75% formula, where this is how it looks. Feelings. 30% of people are mostly attracted, motivated by feelings. And let's say if you are selling real estate, that means you are selling them their dream home. That means you're selling them a place their children can play outside. If you're selling cleaning services, how do you motivate people using feelings in your marketing? Number 2, facts and figures. Now, facts and figures, these are people who are seeking information. And what it means is that even in your marketing, you need to give some information, you need to give some value, because these are people who are attracted by, who like thinking. They like, the only way to get to them is if you trigger a thought process in them. And then there's a 20% of people who are they're looking for fun and excitement. So in your marketing, what is fun about it? What is exciting about it? 10% values and opinions. Values meaning friendship, family, patriotism. They are brands that use patriotism to sell. There are brands which use patriotism to sell. Now that's values. Imagination and fantasy. For me, it was cats talking. What about you? What does your social media, those trigger that 5%? How does it trigger that 5%? And the thing is, you don't have to, you have one post for feelings, one post for facts, and the trick is to blend it. And that's why in my case, blend it into a cocktail where you find a way to use whether it's video, a funny video with a caption, or you find a way to blend it into a message. If it is into a message that attracts all the right people, so that you see, let me give it with my own experience. Like I do this every day by 5:30 a.m. Why 5:30 a.m.? So that it's the first thing people on WhatsApp groups see before they go to work. And what happens in these WhatsApp groups, I am not alone. There are so many people marketing their things. So how do you make people stop or even expect your post every morning? You can't do it if you're just showing your picture of Kamulu, 50% down payment. It doesn't inspire any kind of following or any kind of loyalty or any kind of even interest. It only attracts that 5% which was going to buy anyway. I'm not saying it's wrong to have posters of your product, but always mix it up. Always see it as a transaction. Before people buy anything, they need something from you. You need to give to receive. And I found this out, and on Bismart, we don't have agents walking around. All of it is online. All of it. And it's not just social media posts, it's even emails. Do you have like a newsletter to your clients, and you're not selling to them stuff? You're just telling them, if you're selling real estate, you're giving them advice. You have to build value. You have to show that you're giving value, because not everyone wants to buy at that moment, but they will buy. They will need your product. They will know someone who they can refer. If you don't attract that 90%, you will keep saying that your marketing strategy is not working. Number 3, also on sales calls. On sales calls, it is very, very important. We are told that do not talk about features, talk about benefits. Now, when you're talking about benefits, do not just name them. The best way to use benefits, to talk about benefits, is to tell a story of a client, is to give a testimonial. Even in your marketing, do you use testimonials? Benefits cannot be stated just like that. You need to show people that you are actually doing it. And that is the money cocktail. Also, for your team, you need to sell. The first people you need to sell on your product is your team. If you don't sell them, you will keep coming back to us for salespeople. And it's not that the salespeople are bad, it's because you're not selling your vision to your team. You're not motivating them right, and it's not just about money. So sales, it is a whole process, internally and externally, and it is a science, and anyone can do it. You don't need, as business owners, let's say you're a business owner, you don't need to know how to do this stuff. You just need to know what to ask of your employees. You don't have to do it exactly like this, but the formula remains the same. You need to find ways to get 75% of this score at any moment in every post, at least 75%. I hope I have.
Derrick, asante, thank you very much for that. Nashukuru sana.
Yes, Sandra Njeri says she has a question. Is she in the room? I think she left.
She's in the room, Derrick.
Oh, she's in the room.
Yes.
Yes, Sandra, you can talk. Oh, it's a conversation even. It's a whole conversation. Anyway, does anyone have a question? Anyone else have a question? No one else. So it's 8:02. And thank you for your time and have a good evening. Thank you.